Um, I expressed at the last meeting and previously and since that a flat tax is not very equitable. It's a regressive tax that burdens people of lower incomes more than people who can more afford it. I did do some research and found that my understanding, based on the staff packets that we've received, was there's the flat taxes and there's the taxes based on land use. And the two things that we have before us, the flat tax, everybody pays the same. The land use is it's the same as I expressed at the last meeting. It's unworkable the way it's written. There are categories on there that we don't have. We don't have bars. There are categories missing. We have a coffee shop, something in there for the coffee shop or the melodrama. It's hard to, people would be contesting which category they're supposed to be in. It's an administrative headache, so that's not really workable. So I did some research on my own. About 10 minutes on Google, I found that some jurisdictions have used a tax based on the square footage of the parcel or the square footage of the improvements, the buildings on the parcel. It is used less frequently than the flat tax or land use-based tax, but it has been used in California before, and I found several examples of that. My concern with equity is I'll give you an example. The big warehouse on Railroad Street, it's on a property that's 3.13 acres, which is 136,343 square feet, and it's got an almost 13,000 square foot building on it. They would pay under the flat tax $180. Residence on Ocean Street that I looked up is on a 2,500 square foot lot, and it's got a 1,300 square foot house on it. They pay $180. So what this means, if you do the math, is that the small homeowner is paying 54 times what the owner of that big warehouse is paying. They're paying 7 cents per square foot based on the size of their lot, whereas the owner of that big lot is paying about 1/10 of a penny per square foot. And if you look at it another way, by the square footage of the building, the homeowner is paying 9 times as much as the warehouse owner. They're paying 13 cents per square foot of their house versus 1.4 cents per square foot of the big warehouse. So on a square foot, if you look at just these two properties and say we're going to get under the flat tax $360 from those two properties. So on a square foot basis for the whole parcel, the big warehouse, if you do it on a basis of square footage of the parcel, the big warehouse would pay $353 out of the $360, and the homeowner would pay $7. And if you do it on a basis of the square footage of the improvements, the big warehouse would pay $326 and the homeowner would pay $34. So that's more equitable based on the size of the property and the improvements on the property. I also just tried to take a guess at what somebody at Cienega Seabreeze would pay. Now this is very rough. There's one big lot I saw that looked like it had about 50 houses on it. And if I use the same ratios as that example I just gave with the big warehouse and the Ocean Street homeowner, under the flat tax for that big lot, it's $180. So you divide that by 50 homes, that's $4 per home per year. If I use the same calculations as the big warehouse and the small homeowner, then for a 1,000 square foot home at Cienega Seabreeze, you pay $25 per home per year. So yeah, it's more than $4, but it's not that much more for the whole year. And at the same time, you're giving a break to the people who own their own home. Maybe they're on a fixed income, maybe they've lived here for a long time, they're low income. Instead of paying $180, they pay $34. Now this is These numbers are a little bit funny because we don't know what the rate would actually be. What that would require is finding out what's the square footage of all the land in Oceano that would be taxed, and then take the amount of money we need, do the math, figure out how much we'd have to tax each square foot of land to get the money that we need, or do the same thing using the square footage of all the improvements, all the buildings on all that land. But it's more equitable because people who own a big house, newish housing development at Avocado Ranch, big houses, they're like $600,000. They're going to pay more than somebody who's living in a little 1,000 square foot beach bungalow on a tiny little lot near downtown. And then the businesses, the packing companies, the melodrama, the ones with a bigger footprint, this is chump change to them if they have to pay $300 a year for fire and emergency services. So to my mind, this would be a more equitable plan. It would be more fair than doing a flat tax. I recognize what you said about there's a deadline with the county, but they did extend it a little bit for us already, and I can't believe that they wouldn't extend it a little bit now to give us more time to come to an equitable measure that we can put before the people, because people are going to look at this flat tax and say, hey, that's not fair. I don't want to pay that. But if we do our best and instead of voting tonight, get it right and get them something that they can say, hey, that's fair. It's not that much money. I'm going to go for this. I think everybody wins in that scenario. So I'd like to clarify one thing, which is it's not just me saying that this is a regressive tax. One of the references that I sent you, Mr. Ogren, was a report by the Public Policy Institute of California on parcel taxes as a local revenue source in California. It's from April of 2015. It says, to promote equity, a parcel tax should ideally be based on land value. However, Proposition 13 prohibits taxes based on land value. For that reason, it is preferable that parcel taxes not be flat, but instead be based on parcel size. And hold on a second, I have to scroll down here. Okay. Among 193 proposals from special districts for which tax rate information was available, 142 proposed a flat rate for all parcels, 44 proposed to tax different land uses at different rates, and 7 proposed a tax on square footage. The median flat rate was $68 per parcel, $42 at the 20th percentile, and $148 at the 80th percentile, which means that ours is quite high of all the special taxes that were proposed by special districts. A flat rate parcel tax is not vertically equitable because all homeowners pay the same regardless of their income. A parcel tax based on square footage would be better according to that standard because wealthier homeowners tend to live on larger parcels. A tax on square footage is more equitable than a flat tax because the increase in value from better public services will be roughly proportional to parcel size. And regarding you needing direction earlier, it's not my job to figure out what the different options we should be considering are. When I got really uncomfortable seeing the direction that we were headed with this flat tax, I started doing research on my own and found out more information. And that really only occurred after the last meeting when we were presented with a land use-based plan, which I had hopes for, that ended up being completely unworkable. That led me to look around for other alternatives. So I apologize that this was not brought up sooner, but given the information that I had and when I was given it, this is when it's coming out. And again, I think the county would be remiss if they didn't offer us a little bit more time to get this right.